Thomas Green here with Ethical Marketing Service. On the podcast today, we have Larry Sharpe. Larry, welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Marvelous. Happy to have you.
Glad to be here.
Would you like to take a moment and tell the audience a bit about yourself and what you do?
I am not only as handsome as you can see, but also super smart and also very modest. So I think those are probably the most important things. Of all my great traits, my modesty is my best. I think that's kind of who I am. I'm teasing. I'm just some guy who, a former Marine, entrepreneur, candidate for office, who's been trying to lead better and to make better leaders and to make life better in general, both in professional life and personal life.
Well, I mentioned before we started recording that you got a lot of stuff going on. So I would like to talk to you about productivity at some stage.
Sure.
But the new book on happiness is coming out soon. Is that right?
Writing a book is a whole lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So yes, it was supposed to come out about a month ago. It will probably come out in about 2 months. So soon it will be out. If anyone's interested, you can check out sharpeway.com. The book is right there.
Well, in preparation for our conversation, I have some of the, shall we say, most popular questions on happiness, and they're quite short and sharp. So I'm interested to know what your answers will be. For the sake of definition of terms, do you have a definition of happiness?
Sure. All right. Happiness is how you feel about yourself and those around you. That's really what it is, right? Are you feeling good about yourself and those around you? And if you are feeling good about yourself and those around you, then you're usually going to be okay. And a general rule with knowing if that's true is, are you having good relationships? Now, those relationships include personal, family, professional, even with yourself. So, which is why I build the idea of happiness on 3 things. For someone to be happy, they need to feel loved, they need to feel respected, and they need to have purpose. If those 3 things are true, generally speaking, the person is happy. And that's what the book is actually about also. So, and that's all to do with relationships with yourself, your family, all those types of things.
Well, the follow-up question is, how can I be happy? But I guess if you have those 3, should we say, building blocks, it gives you a clue. Do you go further into those 3 things in the book?
Absolutely. And the reality is happiness is fleeting, right? Life is a series of both joy and pain, regardless of who you are. You'll have different types of joy, different types of pain, but everything is fleeting. Your pain will go away and your joy will go away. That's how it works, right? Everything is fleeting. So it's very hard to retain happiness. Generally speaking, we tend to have amount of those 3. There's 0 of those, 1, 2, or 3. If you have 1, the problem with having only 1 is you can become almost maniacal on one thing. You can be super focused on love, or super focused on getting respect, or super focused on one purpose, and you miss out on the other things. And you can actually make yourself unhappy by only focusing on 1. But if you have 1, you've got a shot at getting the other one, right? If you feel loved, you have a chance of going out and gaining some respect or finding a purpose. If you feel respected, well, maybe you can go find a purpose or go find some love, if you see where I'm going, right? If you have a purpose, often when you're out there with that purpose, you will find others who will either respect you and your ability to deal with your purpose, or fall in love with you because they're in the same purpose as you. So if you have 1, you have a chance of the other 2. If you've got 2, you're in a good spot, right? Because now I've got purpose and love, I can find respect. Purpose and respect, I can find love, right? I can do either of those if I've got 2 of them, right? If I've got 3, I'm happy. If I have none, I will become self-destructive. That's how it works, right? If I have none, that means I don't feel I'm worthy of love, I'm worthy of respect, I have no purpose. I will become self-destructive and probably hurt others while I'm doing that. And that might be physically or mentally or both, or whatever the case may be. The reason why I break it down is I want the individual to kind of understand where they are in life at this moment, right? Right now, I'm doing stuff. Okay, great, I've got purpose. But do I feel loved? I don't. Okay, that's my hole. Let me go try to find that. Or do I feel respected? Do I always feel angry and disrespected? Do I always feel upset, like I'm not respected? Okay, that's my hole, is respect. So now I know where I can go. But the other piece is, there are 4 different arenas to find it. You can find it in your family, find it professionally, find it in yourself, right? Or find it socially. So you don't have to have all 4 of those. But if you don't feel loved in any of those four, you're not going to be happy. Meaning you don't have to have romantic love to be happy, but you can. That is a way to find love, right? You don't have to have professional respect to be happy, but that's a way that we find respect. You can be respected in your family as an elder statesman or as a young entrepreneur or whatever. You don't have to be respected in any of those arenas, but you need to be respected in at least one of them.
First time I'm asking this particular one. Are you happy?
At this moment, yes. But that's not always true. In fact, I start the book with me contemplating suicide. And I do that on purpose because I figure if anyone buys a book on happiness, the odds are at the moment they're not happy. Otherwise, why do you buy the book on happiness? So I figure that the person who's going to grab that book is probably not happy at the moment. Well, that was my lowest time when I was feeling self-destructive. And no matter how bad someone's feeling, if I can show them that I was at that point, they can go, okay, I can hear this guy at least. All right. He may be wrong. He may be right, but at least I can hear him, because there are many times in my life when I've not been happy and I've strived to do other things. And I kind of figured out, oh, now I can be happy. But I'm sure that will be fleeting. And at one point I won't be happy.
Sorry to hear that you had to go through that. Is there anything that if you were able to talk to yourself in that moment of being in that, should we say, rock bottom place, what would you say to yourself in terms of advice?
Well, there are things I did say to myself, but here's what I would say to anyone who's feeling that. When anyone is contemplating suicide or almost there, the thing they will always tell themselves is, it's better off if I'm gone. That's what everyone will tell themselves. That's a guarantee. It's better if I'm gone. Or if I'm gone, the pain will go away. That's what everyone tells themselves. That is a lie you tell yourself. That's a fairy tale. It's not better when you're gone because people miss you. And the pain doesn't go away. It gets transferred onto those who care about you. The pain doesn't go away. You give it to others. It isn't better. People miss you. So that's what I would tell myself or tell anyone, because if you're contemplating suicide, you've told yourself that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. And it is a fairy tale that we tell ourselves. It doesn't get better because you transfer to someone else. But something else, if you want to take your own life or be self-destructive, remember something. Your pain can be someone else's purpose. There are people who want to help. It may not be the people around you. Maybe you're in a bad environment where the people around you don't want to help you, but there's someone who does. There's lots of people who want to help. If you find the person that wants to help, you can be their purpose, which means by you ending your own life, you're being selfish. It's not better. Give someone else a purpose. Be a center for someone else's purpose.
Well, you mentioned it as being one of the three, should we say, one of the three factors in happiness, and also in your answer. How does one find a purpose if they don't already have one?
Oh, that's a tough one, right? It can be difficult. As a general rule, I talk about it in the book a bit, but as a general rule, there are easy ways and harder ways. The easiest way is if you feel either loved or respected, and I hope everyone watching and listening does, then see what those people are doing. What are they putting their time and energy into? And purpose does not have to be like, I'm going to save the world. It doesn't have to be that. It can be something as simple as, I want to build a house, or I want to write a book, or I want to get a cool job. Whatever the thing, it could be, I'm a part of a gaming group where we're going to, get our video game team together and go play somewhere. It doesn't really matter what the purpose is. It is a reason to get up in the morning and achieve things, right? That's what a purpose is. It's a reason to get up in the morning and achieve things, and see what people who either you love or respect, what are they doing now? And test those things and see if any stick. And you'll be surprised how often they will. And sometimes we push away and go, well, no, I don't think I like that thing that he does or that she does. Well, go try it. I know that sounds silly, but it really is true. Try that. It's the simplest way to see if you can find a purpose. But the other piece is, if you don't find that, the idea of trying to find a purpose is in itself a purpose. So you start doing things. Now I have a reason to move forward. So that gets you in the mode. One of the most important things is taking action. The vast majority of humans just allow their life to be run by inertia. Whatever happens to be in front of them. Okay, I'll take this job. Why? It's in front of me. I'll date this person. Why? They're in front of me. I'll, go to this college. Why? It's in front of me. Right? That's a common thing that humans do. And you can luck out and happen to hit wonderful things, but it's luck. It'd be better if you would be going after something you want. The challenge of pursuing happiness is a purpose in itself. The pursuit of happiness is also a part of happiness. And the more you're pursuing happiness, the more you'll be happy. Because if you're pursuing happiness, you're not dwelling on the past and the bad things that happen, because there's pain in everyone's life. And the less we dwell on the pain, the happier we'll be.
Why did you choose this topic over any other you might choose? The topic of happiness, I mean.
It's the most important thing in the world, right? There's nothing more important. There's nothing is there any one thing I can give anyone that would satisfy them in perpetuity? No, it's impossible, right? If I give you money, you'll spend it, or maybe you'll want more. But happiness is something everybody wants. And happy people tend to not commit crimes. Happy people tend to not hurt others, right? Hurt people hurt. Happy people tend to not hurt others, right? And generally speaking, happy people have better jobs. Happy people are better bosses. Happy people are better partners. Happy people are better friends. They're better lovers. They're better, family members. So if you have happier people, look, I'm American, right? Our divorce papers from the UK said pursuit of happiness on it. It was that important to us, right? That was 200 some odd years ago. We were like, we're going to go off and be happy. Sadly, that hasn't worked. But that was our plan, right? So we were going to go off and be happy. So happiness has been important for a long time and still is. If you have a happier population, happier people, you're just going to have better things in general.
Well, the next one is about remaining happy. So how does someone remain happy? My thinking on this is that it's maintenance of the things you already alluded to. Would you say that's accurate?
I would say don't assume that you can stay happy. I don't think it's possible. I just think life is going to throw things at you that will not make you happy. I think that's what happens, right? The more people you have in your life and the more good relationships you have in your life, the more joy you're going to share and the more pain you're going to share, right? Those things come hand in hand. If you know lots of people and have good relationships, bad things are going to happen to them and to you, and you're going to share pain also. So I'm not sure you can stay happy. The point is to always be pursuing happiness. If you're always pursuing happiness, here's what I can guarantee you. I can't guarantee you'll always be happy, but if you're always pursuing happiness, you will never be depressed. That's the difference, right? You won't be depressed if you're always pursuing happiness, but you won't always be happy, but you'll be on the pursuit, which is still good. And then here's the best part about pursuing happiness. When people know and understand you're pursuing happiness, most people will want to get behind you and help you. And in doing so, they'll be pursuing their own happiness.
Great answer. I think the context on this particular question is for those people who are single. So the question is, can you be alone and happy? Definition of alone is somewhat open to interpretation, but what are your thoughts on that question?
Generally speaking, no. As I say, there's personal love and personal respect and personal purpose. But if you're not able to share any of it, the odds of you being happy are slim. Now, you don't have to have a social connection in all three of those. In other words, you could have a purpose that is only yours, but then you got to have someone who loves care about it, or someone's got to respect that you're doing it, if that makes any sense, right? You could have a whole lot of self-respect and others don't respect you very much, but someone's got to love you for trying, or you've got to be with someone having that purpose. So of those three, at least one of them has to be with someone else. If all three are by yourself, no, I don't think you can be. We are humans and we are social creatures. And at least one of those has to be with at least one other person. It's always best if you've got multiple levels of love and respect, and that's always a home run. I hope everybody does. But that may be asking too much for any individual at any one time. Life is just very complex and things happen that throw lots of curveballs at us. And if when the curveball comes at us, we just collapse, sadly, most people do, then we're not going to be able to find happiness. We got to be able to get back up and keep going. And I think the ability to get back up, the resilience that we get, Resilience is often through love, but it can also be through respect and purpose. In other words, if the purpose is so strong, you get back up. But you generally don't get back up if there isn't someone who loves you or you have respect. As a general rule, love is the idea of feeling worthy. You know, I've been bad. I'm not a good person. I've done these bad things, but I'm still worthy, right? That's kind of love. Respect is, okay, am I able? Can I do it? I feel I can do it. I'm able. I can do it. That's kind of respect. And love is, am I worthy of it? And if I don't feel I can achieve happiness, that's probably a respect issue. If I don't think I'm worthy of happiness, it's probably a love issue. So I think you do have to have someone else in there at one point to say, yeah, you could do it. Think about how powerful it is when someone you respect says, well done. For everybody, that's powerful, right? If it's just some random person, you may not care. But if you respect the person and they say, well done, you're like, wow, I can do this. I can do it. And someone you love goes, you're worthy of it. Well, now you want to do it. You feel worthy of it.
I'm really proud of you is a good one, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, the next one, we're going almost opposite. So have you got any thoughts on happiness and being a couple?
Oh, yes. One of the most important things about romantic love, one of the most important things. Now, family love can be romantic or can be familiar, right? It doesn't matter, but romantic love specifically. One of the most important things to remember is love is not how you feel about someone. Love is how you feel about yourself when you're with them. It's a whole different issue, right? So when you're with people, do you feel valued? Do you feel worthy? Do you feel important? Do you feel like you have a place here? If you don't, and you're striving to find a place or do something or always make people happy, there's no love there. There isn't. You think there is. It's a facade of love, but it's not really love. And that's the issue. How do you feel? Are you around someone and you feel less than? That's not love. That's desperation. So if you're a couple, do you feel valuable when you're with your other person? Do you feel like together you make something bigger? Or do you feel like no? Do you feel without him or her, I'm nothing? That's not love, right? I need him or her to make me happy. That's not love. But do I feel good when I'm around them? Okay, now we're in love. That's the most critical piece. You've got to be able to feel good about yourself when you're with the other person.
Quite a profound one, that one. I think reflecting on, for me anyway, I think you could probably, I don't know, everyday scenarios, they might be a little bit different if you thought that way. I quite like it. Well done, Larry.
Look at that. And I respect you, so I feel good.
What made you happy recently?
Probably my daughters. I've been very proud of my daughters recently. I have a daughter who's 17 and who's 11, and they've done some cool things. I don't want to be too much of a dad, but when they were doing cool things, my wife and I've been married for 20 years. My wife and I were talking about how proud we were of our daughter. And I immediately told my wife, I said, look, I know you're proud of her, and you tell her, and so do I. I said, but I'd like you to look in the mirror, because whatever she is, you're the main caretaker. You're 90% of raising her. I'm 10%. I said, whenever you're proud of her, you should be proud of yourself, because it's a mirror. The decisions you've made, this is showing that they were the right decisions. And it made her feel good, which made me feel good, which is why I knew we had love in the house. So that made me happy.
Where does it sounds very philosophical. Where does this background come from for you? Is it life experience or is it education? What's the deal there?
I think it has to be life experience. I mean, I think I spent most of my time the last 20 years as a consultant, actually in mostly business, sales, and leadership. But most of the time that I spend there, it's all about emotional. Leadership today is about emotional intelligence and about emotional communication, right? Management is less valuable than ever. I mean, computers do it, right? Management is basically processes and resources, and AI does it better than we do anyway. Leadership is about people. It's about brains, right? I need your, in today's world, particularly if in more industrialized nations like America, the UK, I need your arms and legs less than ever, right? I'm going to either automate it or I'm going to outsource it or whatever the case may be. Or I'm going to buy them overseas, whatever. Generally speaking, I need your intellect. I need your initiative. I need those types of things more than anything else. And the way I get that is through buy-in. That is through you wanting to achieve what I want to achieve. That's about me communicating a mission and not communicating how to get there necessarily, unless there obviously are legal issues or laws or rules. But without that, I'm not communicating the details. I'm communicating where we have to go, because things change, things happen. Often I'm not around, right? We're doing things remotely all the time. And good leaders have to make sure, and this is from my military experience, good leaders, their goal is to build more leaders, right? Because when the captain gets shot, the hill still has to be taken. So we have to make sure that leaders are underneath us to take charge. And I have to make sure you're doing the right thing when I'm not around. All of that is through relationship building, emotional communication, and a form of professional love, right? In my perfect world, I would like, and I would hope everyone would have, if you have a professional life or career, 2 families. I would hope you'd have a family which is your family and a family which is your business world. That's the perfect world. We don't always get that, obviously, right? I'm talking utopia, perfect world, but we should be moving towards that. So I think through my emotional communication, understanding people, being forgiving, accepting failures, I think that's how I came to this.
Well, I do want to ask you about your military experience because it's on my list. But to close off happiness for a moment, which no one should do, of course. The question is, should you aspire to happiness in life? And based on your answers, I think your response would be yes, because you've already kind of said that most people do. I think the context might be, as opposed to something like meaning, should you go for meaning or happiness?
And I think you always should be looking for your utopia of happiness. And I think you find meaning through that, because I don't think we know, many people don't even know what their meaning is. We're trying to copy someone else's because we saw it someplace or heard it somewhere. But if you just start searching for your own, I think you do find meaning if you're looking for happiness. I'm a big fan of talking about utopia, right? My idea is if I look at utopia, if I shoot for perfection, I'll never get there, but I'll probably get excellence. And if I'm always pointing in the right direction and I'm walking towards my utopia, which I'll never get there. But if I'm always walking towards it, it's harder for someone to knock me off track, right? If I'm always going for perfection, people will knock me off track, but I'll get myself back in action. I'll get closer if I'm always going for that perfection.
Well, you mentioned your military experience. I wanted to ask, what was it like being a Marine? And just for context, I always like to ask about military experience just because my perception is that it applies very nicely to the business world. What are your thoughts?
It does. And it kind of goes back to what I just mentioned, right? When you're a Marine, you are always taught that if there are 2 of you, one of you's in charge. So it's the idea of being responsible for someone or for something always. And not just that, you're never to forget you're a Marine, ever. I haven't been a Marine in 30 years, and I'm still a Marine, right? In 30 years, I haven't been a Marine, and I'm still a Marine. It never goes away. And the idea is you're supposed to do the right thing, even when no one's there. You have to remember, when you're a Marine in combat, you could be 19, 20, 21 years old. You're in charge of life and death decisions. There's no commander there to tell you you're right or wrong. This is your choice, and what you do will affect you and will affect the entire Marine Corps and will affect everything. So the idea is you have to be able to create a leadership model that allows people to do the right thing, even under stress, right? The idea, what the Marine Corps does very well is what's called scenario training. And I do that in my leadership training, and I do it as a leader, is you want to make your training as close to reality as you can. And you want to do it often, to where when the bad stuff happens and stress is there, your training kicks in, you do the right thing. And you can always be thinking, keep your head. One of the things that people tease me about, one of the things I've done in the past, People have asked me, Larry, you've gone into businesses that are completely destroyed and you like it when they're on fire. I'm like, yeah, I love a business that's broken. Like the partner who was, the major, a breadwinner just left and is burning everything out and is stealing customers and people are leaving. I want in, let me in. And people say, why? Because that's where I shine. That's where I'm going to be best. And I think that's because of my Marine Corps training, right? That's kind of my personality. I like when things are on fire. Two reasons why. Excuse me. One is very easy to fix. That may seem crazy, but it actually is, right? If I'm coming now, Thomas, to your company and it's on fire, everything's in trouble, everyone's leaving, and all I do is make sure that this week, hey, no one quit. No one quit. Larry, you're a genius. That's it. Nobody quit this week. See? There we go. Life is good. So I'm already making things better. When things are terrible, getting the status quo is actually pretty easy.
It's a low bar, you mean?
It is a low bar. Status quo to good, that's tough. Good to great, that's tough. Great to amazing, oh my God, that's tough, right? So people don't want to touch it when it's bad, but it's actually the easiest to fix. All you have to do is keep your head. If you just keep your head, you can fix the worst things. And that mindset, right, is a very important mindset because often in our life, we think the world's ending and very often it isn't. It's just our mindset's wrong. If you keep your head, you can often take your life from terrible to just middle relatively easily if you keep your head. I teach my kids this all the time. Keep your head. There's never an advantage to panicking, ever. Fear is a good thing, but fear is your brain telling you to think, not to act. The problem is when we get afraid, we act from fear. We should think from fear and act from thinking. The example I give you is, should I jump out of a plane? Well, me jumping out of a plane, you can be afraid. So think, right? Do I have a parachute on? Is the plane on fire? Well, if I have a parachute on, the plane's on fire, jumping is a smart move. Jump. If the plane's fine, I have no parachute, don't jump. But either way, I'm afraid. So fear is fine, but use fear to think, not to act.
See, this comes back to the philosopher in you. It's a very, very good point. But just coming back to the military for a second, because it links in what I said initially about productivity, and that is, do you think that you've gotten your work ethic from being a Marine, or is it something that's kind of inherent within you?
It's a good question. My work ethic, the way I get things done, to be forward with you, is I don't do much. And the people who are the most successful actually don't work that hard. They say they work hard. They don't. I know, I coach most of them. They don't work that hard. They get others to work for them. And that's the key, right? The most successful people tend to be centers of purpose. If you're a center of purpose, you're the reason why people are doing things. So the most successful people tend to be centers of purpose. Delegation is key. But the problem with delegation is giving out control. Giving out control is tough because of fear. Giving out control is tough because there will be failures. This goes back to my idea of emotional communication, getting everyone on board, not expecting perfection, but shooting for it, and allowing people to, allow you to be the center of their purpose. The more you do that, the better. Coming on this podcast, I didn't set it up, right? I didn't even know I was doing it until it hit on my calendar. There are about 4 or 5 people who have access to my calendar, and they put things on my calendar and they do things for me. Why? Because I ask them, I want to. Some of them I also pay. So, I mean, that's a part of it too, right? You should pay people. That's a good thing. But they still have to have a purpose. Paying people without a purpose actually makes people unhappy and resentful, right? Then they always want more money or think you're being mean. But paying people with purpose, oh my God, that's awesome. People love that. People love getting money to achieve their purpose. Oh my God, that's awesome. So if you can do that, that makes things even better. So delegation is key, and trusting people is key. Understand there'll be failures. Any system that you put together as a leader has to assume that there will be failures. You should be very harsh on systems and very lenient on people. And that's the key, right? Now, some people don't want to be part of your system. Awesome. Then they should leave your system. No worries. But if they like your system and they like your purpose, if you're lenient, they'll tend to be more loyal to you, right? They'll tend to be more loyal. When you want loyalty and good teamwork, the key is vulnerability. If you want to have a good team work with you, it's not about successes. It's about failures. You have to fail together, not succeed together. That doesn't make good. Everyone's your teammate when you're winning. That's not impressive. Are they still there when you're losing? If you look at military training, what's all boot camp about? A series of failures. They just break you down all together and stay with you as you're failing through everything, as they're calling you names and watching you fail, and you'll never make it. Oh, that's what boot camp's all about. It's about a series of failures all together, but I'm still with you through your failures. You want to build a team? Fail together. You want to see who's going to be there? Fail together. When they fail, don't assign blame, assign responsibility. You failed? Great. Your job? Fix it. In fact, you next to you, fix it too. But I didn't do it, boss. I know we're the same team. Let's all fix it. Come on. So I think the key to a good work ethic is others around you who want to get things done. We will very often fail ourselves. Hard to fail someone else. One of the things I tell people often, if they want to achieve a goal, there is a simple tool that will help you. That doesn't guarantee, but will help you to achieve a goal. Whatever your goal is. I want to, run more. I want to quit smoking. I want to get a new job. I want to find a new girlfriend or boyfriend, or maybe both, whoever you are, do your thing. But whatever, I want to go do the thing that I want to do, whatever that thing is. Find someone that you love and tell them. Find someone that you respect and tell them. We don't do that. We go, I'm going to hide until I get it right. And you never get it right because you're hiding it. Find someone you love and find someone you respect, and they may not be the same person. If you happen to love and respect somebody, they only count for one. You pick the one. But it must be two separate people, one who you love, one who you respect. Tell them, and then ask them at a certain time period to check in on you. That's it. Doesn't mean you'll do it, but you've just increased the odds, right? So I don't smoke, but I want to quit smoking, whatever, right? I do that. So I go to say, I don't know, my sister who I love. And I say, hey, sis, I'm going to quit smoking. Can you check on me in like a month to see if I'm doing it or not? She'll go, of course, Larry, I love you. I'll check in on you. And I go to someone I respect, maybe a former boss I had that I respect. Jane, when I worked with you, you were amazing. I'm trying to quit smoking. Oh, yeah, you used to smoke when we used to work together. Yeah, that's right. Can you tell me if I ever check in a month? I increase the odds of me quitting smoking. Doesn't mean I will. I increase the odds.
I've actually heard that, but it's using your enemies. So I had a guest on who said that you tell the people who basically are the naysayers, so that when they do check in and kind of do it in a disparaging way, you can say, yeah, actually, I did do that.
You can, but here's the problem with that. That's a high risk gamble, right? You can do it. The person who is correct. That's a high risk. And if you're the kind of person who likes high risk, I'm very optimistic. I like high risk. That would work for me. Most entrepreneurs who are higher risk, that would work for them. If you're not an entrepreneur, that's very high risk, because if you fail, you'll be emotionally devastated, right? So that's the issue. If you are very resilient, entrepreneur type, optimistic type, totally works. If you're not, failure there can devastate you. It can make you feel like you're not worthy and not able. You can lose two, the love and respect. If you've got no purpose, you're finished.
Also, I wanted to highlight something you said, because I think I haven't heard it before, and I think that can be extremely beneficial for businesses, which was it's about processes. So you said be very harsh. Was that your wording on processes, and lenient on people?
Yes.
I think that's a hidden gem, because what I tend to find with businesses is that they don't process enough. I think that the bigger businesses, they tend to be very good at putting processes in place, but the smaller ones that are a bit, should we say, less organized, they don't do that. And then when something goes wrong, they will very much blame the person. They won't blame the process.
But I need to move towards that for a second with big business. Big business tends to do that, but they also tend to put in zero tolerance policies. Zero tolerance policies are always a bad idea, without exception. And they're all over the place. They're everywhere. Like, I'm the oddball on this. People love zero tolerance policies, and they always fail every time, and they always make things worse. And it's rare that you will hear me say it's a 100% rule. Almost everything I say is a good general rule. This is a 100% rule every single time. Prohibition doesn't work. When you demand perfection, you will get deception every single time. People are not perfect. They will make mistakes. Systems will fail. Stuff will happen. And when you demand perfection, you will get deception. People will simply lie to you. And the people who are actually corrupt or crooked will find other ways. And the people who are good will now be handcuffed. That's how zero tolerance policies work. So while you're right, big businesses often do have good policies, the problem is they sometimes shift into, well, now our procedure is so good that it can never fail. So if you're out of it, we will crush you. So I think you have to find that balance.
Well, you mentioned your leadership expertise, and I guess I think you said management is now basically obsolete. Would you like to go into what your leadership thoughts are? Because in preparation for our conversation today, I actually haven't heard, I mean, I know the knowledge is there, but I haven't heard a lot of content from you from a leadership perspective. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, as I was talking about earlier, the goal of any good leader is to create more leaders, right? And I'll go back to what I said earlier, right? If the best leaders don't have to do much leading, right? Because you're able to create leaders around you that will do more and more and more. Autonomy is everything, right? In today's world, particularly since with the responses to COVID and how people have been reacting towards that, more and more people not being in offices and things of that sort, autonomy is more and more important. And people want more of it than they have in the past. There's still a group of people who still feel this way, but there are some people who don't want much autonomy. And that's okay too, right? For those people, you will give them more check-ins, that kind of thing. But generally speaking, more and more people want more autonomy. There is a big difference between equal leadership and fair leadership. Equal leadership is what most people think is good. I treat everyone the same. I know everyone. I don't see any differences in people, right? I'm fair. That's not fair leadership. Equal leadership is actually weak leadership. It's lazy leadership. It's not good leadership. And people go, wait a minute, shouldn't everyone be treated equally? Of course, in the eyes of your human resources, in the eyes of the law, of course, everyone is equal in that realm. I'm talking in leadership. In leadership, what I want is fair leadership. Fair leadership is giving people what they want, what they need, when they need it. That's not equal. Equal is everyone gets the same. And I feel righteous because I'm being equal. Yeah, but now people aren't being dealt with effectively. And one of the best ways of being a leader is not giving orders. It's leadership through questions, leadership through buy-in. And the example is something like this as an example. When we're setting goals, one of the most common things leaders do when they set goals is say, okay, here are our goals. You need to achieve X, Y, and Z. Is that okay? And the person goes, yeah, fine, whatever, great. There are your goals, good. A month goes by later, 2 months goes by later, the goals aren't met. The person goes, well, the goals are too hard. Well, that's our goals. What's wrong with you? What can I do? How can I help you what do I have to do to get you to make those goals happen? That's what most leaders do. The reverse is what you should do. The issue is we have to achieve X. Thomas, how do we achieve that? And now it's a conversation. I didn't tell you. I said, here's what we have to get to. How do we do that? And you and I have a conversation. And we talk about it. And we come up with ideas to go there. Now, what if I believe that whatever you say is not going to work? I believe what you, in other words, you're in this case, you're an account rep, and you've got to close, $1 million in business in 3 months, whatever. That's our goal. And you go, oh, no problem, Larry. I can take care of this. I'll make 10 calls a day, and we'll do it. And we go back and forth a bit, and you're adamant. Okay, great. What if I think you could never do it with 10 calls a day? Now, what I think to myself as a leader, do I want to allow Thomas to fail? Maybe I do. Remember I told you about the failure thing, failing together? Do I think that this is something that, is not mission critical to my company, right? I'm not going to go under if Thomas fails, right? At the end of the world. And do I see value in Thomas, that I think he can really be good in this company? Then I let him fail. I let him go. We do 10. And then I come back next week. And guess what? Maybe I'm wrong. And Thomas is amazing. And his 10 calls, he's exactly on track. Which is I go, Thomas, well done. Outstanding. Life is good. Keep going, man. You got it. We're good to go.
Thank you.
Maybe I was right. And you're failing. And it's not working. But now when I come to you, I go, oh, it's not working. And you go, no, it's not. But you don't go, well, boss, you made me do 10. You don't blame me. Now we talk about it. I go, okay, so 10's not working. What's going to work? No, I didn't say what can I do? I'm putting the onus on you again. This is all yours. This is your purpose, not mine. As a leader, I'm not here to tell you what to do. As a leader, I'm here to guide you on your purpose. So now, okay, so how can we do this? Well, maybe I'll try 10 plus this other thing. Great, let's do that. Okay, I check it in a week. Now it's working. You and I now have failed together. You are closer to me, you trust me. And now here's the most important piece. Now, as you move up into my company and we start doing more things, we put a plan to make a bigger expansion. And now, since we had a conversation, it's a month into the plan. It's not working. If it's my plan, you go, whatever, fine. Guess the boss's plan isn't working, and you keep working it and it fails. But if it's our plan, you come to me. You don't lie. You don't hide. You don't obfuscate. You come to me and go, boss, it's not working, man. We got to change this. Larry, it's not working. We got to fix this. Oh, we're not going to hit our goal. I didn't even say anything. You saw it before I saw it. And now you come to me and we fix it. Leadership is about that. No, all these cases, I didn't give one order. We had a conversation about everything and you came up with the answers. And I'm just here to hold you to account and assist when you ask me to. I'll go one step further. How do I know when to check in? Even in that, well, I do a weekly check-in because I'm the boss. That's often. Or I do a daily check-in because I'm the boss. Whatever. People think that's good or that's bad. It's neither. Some people prefer check-ins. Some people don't. It's often a personality or where you've been, or also how familiar you are with what material, the job you're doing. So if I want a bunch of check-ins, and I like that, right? For me, I like my boss to check in on me so I feel good about what's going on. So now, Thomas, you're my junior now, and my boss checks in on me often. I love it. So I check in on you often because I'm giving you what you need, right? Maybe not. You might hate that. So I think I'm giving you what you need, but you see me now as a micromanager. But I'm not micromanager. I'm giving you what you need, right? Or the reverse. I hate check-ins. Just tell me what to do. I'll be great. I got this. Talk to me once a month, boss. I'm fine. So now you're my junior. I do the same to you. Look, I respect Thomas. He's a professional. I'll check in once a month. But you like check-ins. So now you feel abandoned. You think I'm a boss who doesn't care. In both cases, we were past each other. Now, if I'm lucky and I'm a micromanager and you like micromanaging, we're lucky. I'm a great boss for you, right? But again, I don't want to rely on luck. I instead want to ask you. I'm saying, Thomas, so we've agreed to these things. Awesome. When do you want me to check in? What do you think's good? Now, again, what if I'm afraid? In this case, what we're talking about is kind of mission critical. So I'm worried. I don't really want you to fail, right? I'm worried. If that's the case, I put the onus on me, not on you. I say, Thomas, I'm worried. This is a big deal for me. Is it okay if we check in more than once a week? Now, you may not like that as much, but you don't feel like I'm micromanaging. You don't feel like it's an attack on you. I'm showing my own vulnerability, saying I'm worried. Not that you're not good, Thomas. I have worries. And I'm going to report to my boss. Can we check in a little bit more? And you go, fine. Now, if we check in and you're messing up, we're good. Good. I'm so glad we checked in. Let's fix this. But if I check in and you're doing fine, maybe I feel, oh, and I walk away. And now you also realize that now I trust you more. All of these things have built up that better relationships within our business. None of them about me giving orders. So we can have good control of what's happening. We can have a good grasp on what's going on, and we can build our people up without being tyrants. That's what I think leadership is all about.
Great stuff, Larry. Did you use some of these techniques or tactics in your trucking business?
All the time. I use them. I've learned these tactics by just doing more than anything else, right? And noticing that yelling and screaming doesn't work. I mean, that's not true. That's not true. Coercion is a good short-term, benefit. It does work short-term, right? I just want this thing done today. Yell and scream at Thomas. He's angry. I'm going to shut Larry up. It's done. right? So you'll do that. You want to shut me up. So you get the job done. You give it to me. So I got a short-term value. I needed it done by 5. You rushed because I yelled at you. But now you're upset at me. Now you're vindictive. Now we've broken trust. So long-term, that wasn't good. And not just that, if you didn't like me yelling at you, now you're going to lie to me to avoid me yelling at you. I've just encouraged deception, right? So now you're going to lie to me or obfuscate, whatever, hide something because you don't get yelled at anymore. So yeah, I got my short term and I felt good because I did that thing, but long-term, it doesn't work. And the reality of it is many of us are going to work into our 70s now. Many people are. We're going to be healthy enough. We're going to want to work. We're going to be able to work. If you're going to have a 30, 40, 50, 60-year career, you don't want to be 55 years old with a resume in your hand, hoping someone will hire you. You don't be 65 years old with a resume in your hand, hoping someone will hire you. You want to have built enough relationships over your professional career that your phone is ringing. That when you send an email, someone's like, yeah, I can't wait to have you aboard. Oh my God, Thomas, you're available? Yeah, that's what you want. Not, oh yeah, Thomas, I don't know if we have anything for someone like you. Send your resume to HR. You don't want that, right? You want, oh, he's available. Oh my God, I can't believe we can get Thomas. Let's grab him. So I think that's what when leadership should be about long-term, not short-term.
Well, the reason I bring that that previous business up is because is it right that you exited?
Yes. Oh my God. My trucking business was my MBA. I started that business knowing how to sell, but not knowing how to run a business. And I thought they were the same thing. And anyone who's run a business knows they're not. But at that point, I did not know that. I thought, well, if I can just sell stuff, then I can run a business. That's all it is. I didn't realize at the end of the month that I'm making sales, but I have no money. Like it's not working, right? I basically could have been working at a fast food joint and I had my own business because I didn't understand simple things like, marketing costs, pricing, insurance, all the other things that go into running a business. I was ignorant to them. And so I'd make sales and then realize these aren't good sales. My pricing's terrible. It's not worth the time and energy to make the close. Oh my God. And so within the first year, I was losing money. I figured things out by the second year of the business. So it was profitable when I sold it, but I had so much bad feeling from all the failures that I had. I don't think I was mature enough to handle it. So I just didn't want to get out of bed and I didn't do the work anymore. The purpose was gone. I didn't want to do it anymore, even though I had a successful business, which is why somebody bought it, right? They bought the business because it was working. It wasn't working in the first year at all. Nobody would have bought that thing. But at the end they did. And this is a story I tell, but it's a story I tell to show you my mental capacity at the time. The amount of money I wanted for the company, the guy didn't have. So I said, well, you know what? Divide it by 6, pay me, 1 check a month for 6 months and we'll call it even. And I did that on a handshake. I do not advise doing that kind of thing on a handshake. That is a terrible idea. But I did it because I just didn't want to be in the business anymore and I didn't care. I just didn't want to do it at all. Just offloading it was such a good thing for me emotionally. And people tell me, did he pay you? Yeah, he paid me every month. I got to check every month. But if he didn't, would I have chased him? No. Where my head was then, I would have taken the 1/6 and I would have walked away. I just wouldn't have gone back at the time. But again, I gave him a business and I was a gentleman. Like when people would call me, my old husband would call, I would say, no, it's him. Go to him. Like I was very good to him and I sent everyone over to him. So it was great. So, that business was my MBA.
Great story. Coming back to my prep for the episode, I haven't spoken to someone who has been on Joe Rogan before. So I wanted to ask you what your experience was like, how you felt it went, and what you think of it now.
Yeah, well, for your audience who may not know, I ran for governor of New York in 2018. That's my political career. So I decided I want to take my leadership to another level and run for governor of New York. Clearly, I didn't win. But if you saw how our disgraced governor just left recently, some of you may or may not know, he left under some scandals. New Yorkers might have been looking back and saying we might have made a mistake with that vote. But anyway, so when I ran for office, I ran as a third party, which obviously in America is very hard to do. The system is set up against us. So we basically have to use social media as our way of getting ahead. The mainstream media simply won't cover us. It's virtually impossible. And mostly it's an establishment issue or just a cash issue. I raised $500,000 for my run, which is a substantial run for a third party, but my opponents raised both 4 million and 12 million respectively. So I was outgunned. So I had to use guerrilla warfare as a good Marine would use, which was social media. And that's how I got on Joe Rogan. I got on many podcasts, and my most popular one was Joe Rogan's podcast. And I thought I made an error on the podcast. And it was because me being the Gen Xer that I am, I didn't realize how popular Joe Rogan was. So I didn't prepare that much for it. I had been doing so much campaigning. Literally, I was crossing New York State, doing lots of events. I fly in. He was in California at the time. Now he's in Texas. I flew into California that morning, went to his studio. Literally, he walks in the door and says, "Sharpe here?" I said, "Yeah, I'm here." We walked in, sat down, started the interview. That's how it started. Just like that. His first words to me was something like, "I like you." That was like his first words. And then we started talking. I was looking at him like a typical New Yorker. And our first interaction was about education. I don't know if you happen to have seen the interview. I mean, it was about education. And he was talking about things that didn't make sense to me. For those of you who don't know, in America, I don't know where your audience is, but our states are very different in how we treat our teachers. In certain states, teachers are in trouble. They make hardly any money. They don't have many materials, and they struggle. In my state, the average teacher makes $80,000 a year. We're fine, right? Unions are strong. Teachers don't get fired. They're fine. I mean, they could always use more help. Teachers can always use more help, but they're not struggling in my state. That's not a thing in my state, right? So he was talking about, well, what about the teachers and getting in trouble? And I'm saying, what? And I should have realized he's not a New Yorker. He's thinking the country. So we talked past each other. The lesson for me to learn was I was so in my own world of campaigning day after day after day that I really should have taken a few minutes to think about where I was going. And I tend to be better now when I do any interview. Right? Even when you and I talk, the first thing I said is, what are we talking about, right? I want to make sure we were open. And I didn't do that before. I would walk in and just start shooting. That's what I used to do. And Joe Rogan taught me, don't just walk in and start shooting, right? And we did. And it did not go as well as I wanted it to go. I was still happy with it. It was still a good interview. I covered a lot of my issues. And if you've noticed, as the strange thing about me as a politician is I actually have policies and ways of fixing things. And because of my business, right? I'm always about fixing things, making better systems. I'm all about better systems, better environment, better systems. If you ask right now the average Democrat or Republican how they're going to fix something, all they're going to say in America is, we're going to support them and give them what they need. Okay, how? By supporting them and giving them need. How? By caring and needing and supporting. That's all they say. They don't give you an answer. If they're Republican, they tend to use the word fund. They use the word invest. If they're Democrat, they use the word fund. But what that means is more money from government. That's all they ever do. They don't change the system at all. The system stays the same. I'm the only politician that actually says, no, we can change the system so it's better for everybody. And all my policies, I'll be a little political. All my policies have 4 important criteria. 1, no coercion or force. 2, no new or added taxes or fees. 3, whenever they affect individual people, then it always should focus on helping the working poor and middle class. 4, if it affects corporations, it should always focus on supporting the entrepreneur class. Why do I say that? Because the entrepreneur class, the working poor, and the middle class are the most important classes in any nation, in any society. They're the ones who run everything. They're the ones who are the most charitable. They're the ones they work the soup kitchens to help the poor. They're the ones who support the wealthy. They're the ones who do everything. And the more they grow and the more vibrant those 3 groups are, the more vibrant your economy will be, the more vibrant your society will be.
Do you have any future political ambitions at all?
Maybe next year is another gubernatorial race for New York State. Maybe they'll ask me to come back in. I got to come back into the ring again. But if I come back in, I won't just stop fighting. I'll be better.
Maybe another visit to Rogan in Texas then.
There we go. I got to go see him again. I'll be nice this time.
So what are your other goals?
I think one of the thing that we have to realize in today's world is, sadly, popularity is more important than anything. It is more important to be popular than to be savvy. It's more important to be popular than to be right. It's more important to be popular than to be smart. Because of the massive amount of social media and the eyeballs that get on TV, that get on the internet, that get on your phone, the more people who think you're cool or savvy or smart, the cooler or savvier or smarter you are. You will have more impact based upon popularity. So my goal is always the same thing: be more popular. That's why I'm here, Thomas. You got to make me famous.
Well, I've never heard that answer before, but I kind of get the logic behind it.
Because if you can be more popular, you can make more impact. And my goal is to make more impact.
There's a bit of a damning indictment of where we are as a people, unfortunately. But I get what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Is there anything that you would like to add on any of the things I've asked you about today?
Yes. One big key to happiness in every aspect of your life: family, professional, romance, personal, whatever the case may be. Forgiveness. People don't talk about this. Very important. Forgiveness. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It doesn't mean being stupid or ignorant. It doesn't mean any of those things, but it means forgiving. And I mean this in many different ways. Number one, yourself. The two worst emotions any human can feel: betrayal and regret. Two worst. When your enemy screws you over, they're your enemy. You're angry, but they're supposed to. When your friend does, oh my God, does that sting? It hurts so much more. It's why, when we find enemy combatants on the battlefield, we don't kill them, but you're a traitor, we shoot you. Right? We killed the traitor. We don't kill the enemy. We kill the traitor. So the issue is, betrayal is a big deal, but regret is you betray yourself. You have to forgive yourself. You are going to make mistakes. You're going to screw up. And the most important way, best way, easiest way to forgive yourself is when you have a failure that you regret. You've done something wrong, something went the wrong way, is to take that thing that happened, that failure, and make it one thing: an event. It's an event. It's not me. It's not you. Yeah, Larry, you said that dumb thing and ruined that relationship. Yeah, Larry, you dropped the ball on that and embarrassed everybody. Yeah, you did this dumb thing. Yeah, that thing happened. It's an event. Now, if I can look at it separate from me, forgive myself for making the error, for being human, and then look at that event for what it was, now I can judge the event and learn and grow from it. Now the event can become a lesson. It can be an expensive lesson, but it's still a lesson. If I don't make it an event and make it an expensive lesson, it's just a handicap for the rest of my life. I will keep that handicap for the rest of my life. And as I move forward and I should make the move, I won't make it, or I'll hesitate, or I'll question someone, or I'll do something dumb again because of that handicap sitting there. I can't do that. It's an event. It happened. But also for others. So now someone in my life, my family member, my romantic environment, they betrayed me. I have to forgive them and make it an event. But Larry, you're going to forget. No. It goes from, you did this to me, I forgive. That thing happened. That thing happened. So now I got to take that aside and look at that and go, okay, that thing happened. What can I learn from that? Maybe I shouldn't be with this person. Maybe I shouldn't do this thing with this person. Maybe I did the wrong thing, but it's an event. I can learn from it. But if I don't make an event and I don't forgive that person and assume that they did what they thought was best, or they did what was in their best interest, I'm not mad at them. It's fine. I hold it, not them. I hold it. It becomes a handicap for me. Forgiving people is actually selfish in a way. Forgive them so that you can move on. Because very often we don't forgive people. They move on. You're the one who doesn't. So forgive. Forgive people who have wronged you. Forgive yourself for being human. Take the bad things in your life and make them events and learn from them and make them all lessons for you to grow. If you don't forgive, you are handicapping yourself. Forgive, don't forget, learn. They're all lessons. Some are very expensive, but if they're expensive lessons, get something out of it. Get something out of that expensive lesson, or you're just handicapping yourself.
Great message to end on. I may have to reflect on that one myself, so thank you. I did feel like you were only talking to me there for a second, just being selfish.
Because I was.
Larry,
I know some stuff about you, Thomas. I know some stuff.
Where's the best place for people to find you, Larry?
The Sharpe Way. Please, sharpeway.com. I'm on all the interweb things. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all the things. I'm even on like MeWe and I think locals too. I'm on everything. Just look for the Sharpe Way. Or if you want to Google Larry Sharpe, I'm everywhere.
And you've delegated all that responsibility, right?
That is correct. I'm rarely on social media. But my team monitors. If you want to reach out to me as you did. Please reach out to me. My team will absolutely respond. They will reach out. They'll get to me. Everything that goes out there will get to me.
Brilliant. Well, I think you've added a lot of value. So thank you very much for your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.